This movie is widely known as like one of the best superhero movies of all time, and it really shows. And like rewatching it now, it's still one of the best movies ever. I mean, it's one of the greatest superhero movies ever. It's definitely like one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. But for some reason, I find myself not rewatching it as much. Let's talk about that. Spider-Man 2 was released in 2004. It was written by Alan Sargent and directed by Sam Raimi. Slight spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie. So the reason I don't rewatch this in a whole lot is because it doesn't occur to me to rewatch it. I'm always like, that's a perfect movie, moving on. When I rewatch a Spider-Man movie, I usually rewatch Spider-Man 1, 3, Amazing Spider-Man 1, or Homecoming. I watch particularly Homecoming and Spider-Man 1 a lot. Like, I watch them a lot. And I think the reason I don't rewatch this one as much is because it feels much more like a normal movie than other superhero movies, right? Like, when I'm watching Avengers Endgame, I'm not really watching it for the emotional depth or the super difficult themes involved. No, I'm watching this, I want to see people fight each other in super epic battles. And this, well, it has, you know, a lot of them. It's definitely more of a dramatic tone and definitely more deep themes in this film, which is why I do love it, but it's not the most rewatchable film in the whole world. So I want to talk about a little bit of those because I don't hear enough people talking about them. But for one, Peter Parker is a character and Spider-Man is a character, and they are not the same thing. People always are like, yeah, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. No, they are very, very different people. Spider-Man is his own unique character. Peter Parker is his own unique character, and they have different wants. Spider-Man wants to spend all his time with Spider-Man. He loves being Spider-Man. Spider-Man is fun. He gets to save people. He has a great time with it. But Peter Parker's struggling. He's in school. He's in college. He's trying to get all of his good grades. He's got an apartment. He's got to pay rent. He has to hold down a job. He has a girlfriend he loves and he wants to be with forever. But he can't. He can't choose both because Peter Parker and Spider-Man cannot coexist. It's a big thing in the Spider-Man comics. I think we're going to see a lot of it in No Way Home. And it's an internal battle between Peter and Spider-Man and who is going to reign supreme. And here, we see what would happen if Peter wins, right? If he says, you know what, Spider-Man, no, we're done with you. We're going to get rid of you. He throws the suit in the trash can and he walks away. Notably, his life kind of gets better. Like, he's able to mend stuff with MJ, him and Harry are kind of doing okay, and he gets a job, and like, all these things. His grades are going up by a lot, and it's just all these really good things. But then, people are dying, and he's like, that's my fault. Then he has to go back to being Spider-Man. It's all about a balance of being Spider-Man, being Peter Parker, being a normal life, being able to do everything everyone else can, but also having the weight of the responsibility of being a superhero. And that's what with great power comes great responsibility really means in this, is it means that he has to be Spider-Man because he can be Spider-Man. Other people don't have the opportunity to be Spider-Man, so there needs to be one because somebody needs to save people, and it has to be Peter. He doesn't have a choice. He can't choose to not be Spider-Man because he has to be Spider-Man. And I love that, and this is the only movie so far to really tackle it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 actually does touch on it quite a bit, and I actually, as much as that movie is bad, I don't hate the film, and that is a large reason why, is because it has that tone and that depth, and I like that a lot. But we don't see it in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies at all yet. Nothing, not a drop. I am like, come on. Like, I want something more from that. We see a little bit in Far From Home, but like, really it's barely, because he gets to Europe or whatever, and he's like, oh, I got Spider-Man? Okay, cool. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's emotional enough for me, and that's what this movie really brings. What this movie also brings is the best villain that any Spider-Man movie has had so far, which is Doc Ock, played by Alfred Molina. This surprised me because it feels like it's not a character that I would assume would be like the greatest villain of all time. I'd imagine the Green Goblin, maybe even Mysterio, as being the best villains. And no, it's not. It's Doc Ock. Who would have thought? And Doc Ock is so cool. Alfred Molina is perfect. And the reason why it works is because we actually like Doc Ock. We're like, hey, you're a cool guy. You're nice. You're like not an awful human being. Until his inhibitor chip breaks, and then he is an awful human being. But that's not his fault. And we love that, right? And the train sequence is freaking awesome. The final fight's pretty great, too. And really, the only thing that's hindering this movie, in my opinion, is Tobey Maguire. I can't get over him as Spider-Man. I don't think it's good. I do like what they did with the character. I just think he's not a good actor, is really what it comes down to. I don't think he's a good actor. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I just don't think he's great. That being said, this movie is damn near perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and give Spider-Man 2 an A+. Have you guys seen Spider-Man 2? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of it. I know I ranted a lot about Spider-Man and Peter Parker, but I felt like this is what this video needed to be. If you want more of my thoughts, drop it down in the comments down below, and I will do a different video, or I will just comment next to you and just be like, hey, this is what I thought. I realized I didn't talk about the movie itself a whole lot, but really I was talking about the main characters of the movie. And finally, being able to talk about them is great, because a lot of times people are just like, yeah, the movie's good. I'm like, yeah, but what about the actual characters? Ah, so good. Anyway, please consider subscribing, because it's a huge, huge, huge help. I really do appreciate it every time, and once we get to 200, I'm going to be doing a live stream for 8 hours. It's going to be a variety show. You're not going to miss that, so definitely consider subscribing. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.